Hello, Michael Hagan here, former Knight, former Bulldog, coached the Knights and coached Queensland, and now involved with the Kangaroos. Yeah, I grew up in Brisbane playing junior footy and always watched and followed the Sydney competition, and it was probably the best competition in the world back then. I ended up playing maybe Queensland schoolboys back in 1981, and I was invited down to the Bulldogs on a scholarship, and that's sort of how the career started. And I'm blessed and fortunate to have been involved in the Canterbury teams as a young bloke around some of the champions of the Bulldogs of that era. I ended up in 3 grand finals in 3 different positions because I was in the right place at the right time. And I trained hard and I did all the things I was asked to do, but in the end, that's where I finished up. Terry Lamb was the incumbent 5'8" at the Dogs, and he ended up playing for another 3 or 4 years beyond me. So I worked out that pathway was maybe blocked. And Newcastle showed a lot of confidence. I was coming off that dislocated hip, and they offered me the deal. Came here from Canterbury expecting to spend a couple of years in Newcastle and then maybe get to Queensland. And we've been here 32 years. We've now got 3 daughters that have been born here and 2 grandsons. So it's got a fair bit going for it. Well, I was invited to coach by Mal and Kevin Neal when they were at Canberra. And I'd probably done my level 2 or 3 or whatever it was. And hadn't really thought about it that much, to be honest. I thought, oh, I'll go down and give it a go and see how it goes. And I actually quite liked it. I ended up being asked to coach Newcastle, invited in to do that on the back of Warren Ryan and the club having a pretty good roster organised, and I got the benefit of that in 2001. For me as the coach, we had that nucleus of young and senior players, some players that had played in grand finals before, some players that have played Origin and Test footy. Having your best players healthy in the key positions, that's still the formula, isn't it, for winning titles. I didn't even really think about being asked to coach Queensland, a bit like being a first grade coach. I hadn't really thought about that. And Wayne rang me and I said, oh, hey Wayne, how you going? And he said, oh listen, I'd like for you to coach Queensland in 2004. And I was like, oh really? Anyway, I took the job and trying to coach Newcastle and Queensland at the same time. And I remember, I think we got beaten in the first ever Golden Point of Origin. So Golden Point's never been in Origin until 2004. So it's my first game in as a coach with this team, and we're underdogs a bit because New South Wales had a really strong team at that time. And gets to Golden Point like 8-all. So Sean Timmins kicks his field goal, and the energy that just went out of everyone after that in Golden Point was like. So I think we got back on the Saturday night. I had to get my head around coaching Newcastle against Melbourne or something like that. And I remember spraying blokes at half time, and we weren't going that bad because I had the shits about what happened on Wednesday night. So the whole thing, it just sort of gets muddled up. Rightly so, Mal took it on in sort of a full-time role. We had all this time to sit back and look at how the camps were put together, and the best thing that Mal has done is absolutely putting the right people in the team and around the team. And that's what's made Mal so successful in understanding what everyone's skills are and where that fits together. And Wayne's very similar in his approach. But they've both got this emotional connection to teams, and they can deliver that better than anyone. So that reason for wanting to be part of Queensland, you understand the DNA and you understand what it's all about. So again, there's no misunderstandings about what it means to play at that level and what's required. I was a bit fatigued, I was a bit cranky, and I ended up getting crook as well with prostate cancer sort of the following year. So there was a few things in amongst that said to me, maybe it's time to, a bit like that time when you finish as a player, maybe it was time as a head coach to consider doing other things. So I work 3 or 4 days a week with a good mate of mine's got a media marketing company called KWM Media Group, and I also work with Triple M calling Knights games in the Newcastle sort of marketplace, and we have a lot of fun doing that. So that's probably been 10 years or more. I'm an ambassador for the Hunter Prostate Cancer Alliance as well, which I've been, when I was diagnosed at 44, I'm now 56, so I'm an advocate for men to get checked early, because I know we're not good at that, and maybe the wives to push their husbands along. So even just general well-being and health, I think that's, we can all do a bit more in that area. I'm really thankful in my career in footy. I've been able to hang around a lot of really good footy teams that have done really well, and I've been part of that. So it's been a good journey.